Okay, okay. Before I forget, I have 2 corrections from the last 2 classes. Need anything? Okay, okay. One is what Michael corrected me on that Arya Sangha does belong, if you split the Lamrim lineages into 2, starting from Lord Buddha, then the Bodhisattva activity lineage, which is called Gyatchen Chöpa, comes down first through Buddha, then Maitreya, and not, I said Chenrei Sek Avalokiteshvara, and then Michael said it's Maitreya, and then he's right.
I just give you a funny look, I didn't say a word.
No, but I heard it. And because you'd think it would be Chenrei Sek, but anyway, it comes down through Maitreya and then to Arya Sangha. Okay, so that's one correction from the first class. And then the second class, as we mentioned, I think you mentioned yesterday, I wrote the traditional verse for the 7 diamond-like visions, then we discussed the number of them, and then we discussed the order of them. And it looked like the order that came first and the order during the order were different. And they are. I mean, I checked the book, and then Gyaltsab Je says, how come they're different, you know? And he says, you know, you could do it either way. And that's in your second reading that you don't have yet, okay? So it was a good point. And Gyaltsab Je says you could do it either way. So either way in your homework is okay. Meaning, switching 4 and 5, either way, okay? I mean, I remember getting up and saying it the way Gyaltsab Je said it, and then thinking that I lost the logic at a certain point. So we'll do it again, you know? You want to become your own future Buddha, so you can teach your own future Dharma to turn your own future direct realizers of emptiness people into that, right? So that covers the first 3. And then the question is between the Buddha that you need to help you do that, the outside Buddha, the one who already exists, and then the Kam, or the Buddha nature in you. So would that come Buddha nature first and outside Buddha first, or outside Buddha first and Buddha nature first? And that's where the question comes in. Let me get it straight. Some people say, after the first 3, you go find an outside Buddha who inspires you to take your own inner seed and work on it. Some people say, you think about your own inner seed and want to become a Buddha, and then you go to an outside Buddha who can teach you and like that. So either way you do it on the homework is fine. And something that you would spend 6 hours debating in the debate ground with no resolution, just for fun, you know. Okay. So today we're going to work slowly through the 7 diamond-like visions, which means, first of all, discussing the 3 jewels, right? The 3 jewels. And today I think we're going to delve into the question of, one of the main topics today will be, why when he discussed the 3 jewels, did he choose the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha that you want to become? Because they don't exist yet, I mean, theoretically, for most of us, or maybe for me at least. Okay? They don't exist yet. So, I mean, taking refuge, doesn't it imply taking refuge in someone outside of you? And isn't that even part of the definition? You know, you go to refuge to someone outside of you because of 2 causes, fear, and you think they might be able to help you, right? So, why does he start out calling the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha that you are going to become the 3 jewels, which are the objects of refuge, right? So we're going to go into that a little bit today. We have to start Gogomare. Say Gogomare. Gogomare. Which means? No need to carve it, just write it. Okay. Sorry, just kidding, you know. I started out that way too. Chedu Jawa is an idiom in Tibetan. Chedu Jawa means the ideal or the one that the teaching was meant for. And Dulja means student or disciple. Okay? So this whole phrase means the student that the Uttara Tantra was meant for. The student that the Uttara Tantra was designed for. And you know that dul means to discipline or to tame a wild horse, for example, is called dul. So the word disciple is the same in Tibetan as it is in English. Disciple meaning the one who needs to be disciplined or tamed or broken. Okay? Not fun, but the result is cool. So Chedujari Dulja means the ideal disciple or the perfect disciple that this book was meant for. And this is very common in the ancient teachings. Each book is designed, each teaching, as you know from Tange, is designed for a particular group of students. It's like, I used to play jazz in college, and the only jobs we could get, because we weren't that normal, was in this weird bar outside of the college. And you would get up, and then depending on who was listening, you would play differently. You see, like you start a song, and then you see the reaction. And then if the audience feeds you back, then you go higher and higher. And if they're all just drinking and fighting and stuff and trying to get up on the stage, you know, you just, your music actually goes to a lower level, because you're just trying to reach something in them, right? And it's the same for a teacher. As you know who have tried to teach, you know, you get up, you see how the eyes look, you know, or how the body language is, and then if it's good, you go higher. And if it's not so good, you go down a few notches, you know. And then that creates problems 1,000 years later when they go through Winston's teachings, the videos, you know, and they're like, I don't get it, you know, first he said this was true, and then 2 days later at a different teaching he said something else was true. And that's why you get into fights about Tange or how to interpret what a teacher said. So each major teaching, or each major book, has the Lord Buddha, or Lord Maitreya in this case, they have somebody in mind for this book. That's called Chedujari Dulja. They write this book, or they dictate this book to whom? Arya Sangha in Tushita heaven, right? And they have certain people in mind, So I'm going to tell you what that kind of person is for this book, because it has to do with the first 3 diamond-like visions, okay? How do you wake it up? Oh no, it's on.
I think that's how we woke it up before.
What was use this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Say, take chin. Should I go back there? Yeah. Sorry. Take chin. Rikchen. First part of a student for whom this book was meant is that they must be Tekchen Rikchen. Tekchen means Mahayana, big capacity people, big capacity. Rik means type or family. Rikchen means belongs to the family or belongs to the type. Tering Sangye Riksuke, Sangye Sesu Tagyurto. Right? Today you have Sangye Rik, Sangye Sesu Riksuke. You've entered the family of the Buddhas, right? So first they should be of Buddha Bodhisattva family. In other words, if you're in this room, if you made it all the way out here in the middle of nowhere, it's not by accident, okay? It's by millions of lifetimes of praying that you could learn this book, okay? It's from millions of lifetimes of trying to develop compassion for other people, or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't, karmically, you wouldn't have made it into this room. So you have this, you are Tekchen Rinchen, if you made it this far. You have deep within you a calm or a seed that wants to be able to serve every living creature in many planets, countless planets. So you have that. And that's the first part that makes you able to sit here, to be a student of this class, okay? Wang Nun. Oops. Say Wang Nun. Wang means power. I think you know, like a Wang is an initiation, is called a Wang. And then Wang Nun means very, very sharp powers, meaning you have a high Dharma IQ. And you know, I've mentioned it many times. Wang Nun doesn't mean worldly IQ. You know, like you meet many people who are very capable people, very intelligent in a worldly way, very capable, they can do anything in business and things like that, but their Dharma IQ can be 0. And then you meet other people who have a high Dharma IQ that can't like drive a car or something like that, you know, like just run into things. And and then you meet many people who have both actually. But what we're talking about is a high Dharma IQ, high Dharma IQ. How does that manifest itself? I mean, they believe higher things, and they are motivated to do higher things. They are faced with a lifetime of consuming or a lifetime of trying to get liberated and helping others in an ultimate way, and they just naturally gravitate towards the second, okay? Does that mean they don't have jobs? No, not necessarily. They could be president of a big corporation, but they, in the back of their mind and in their heart, their motivation is always that they should do this to help other people. And then they have this drive to learn the Dharma well, practice well, meditate well, retreat well. So that makes them Wang Nun. So you can say high Dharma IQ, okay? You have to have this to be a student in this class, okay? To be a student of the Uttara Tantra. The Uttara Tantra is Chetuja Idulja, the ideal student, the student for whom this book was designed, are people who display two qualities. They have like compassion. They are Mahayana, family type of people. They have deep in their hearts the belief that they could become the next Buddha. They could become Maitreya. They will be Maitreya. They believe that. And then secondly, they have this high Dharma IQ, which is typified by being attracted to holy activities, meditation, retreat, study, serving other people, okay? That kind of person is ideal for this book. Does that mean that other people can't listen to this book? Is Tantra secret?
Tantra?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, Tantra means secret, right? The word means secret. But it's a self-keeping secret, right? I mean, you can show a tantric book to somebody. Somebody who hasn't had initiation can go and peek in a tantric book. They just won't get it. Like, they'll write a PhD thesis about it. Okay? Or maybe, you know, that's not a kyaba, right? Not everyone who writes a PhD thesis about Dharma is doing so for the wrong reasons, but I'm just saying in case, okay? Or they might just think it's crazy or even dirty or wrong, okay? And so, in that way, Tantra is a secret which keeps itself. And in the same way, teachings on the higher way, like something like the Uttara Tantra, people just wouldn't get it. They wouldn't be, first of all, most people who didn't have come, who weren't this kind of student, they wouldn't be attracted to it. You know, you could get up, start to give a lecture about it, and they would like fall asleep, or leave and not come back, you know, or fight with you and then leave, you know. And that's a very typical for someone who isn't up to this level of student. So in a way, the secrets keep themselves. And it's not that Lord Buddha said these students, anybody who wasn't this student couldn't come to that teaching. It was just that if they came, they weren't attracted to it, or they even heard a lower teaching, which is where the idea of lower kinds of emptiness comes in the mind-only school and in the lower half of the middle way school. So that's the kind of student that we would teach this book to. Then Gyaltsab Je goes on to say that a Chetaja or Dulja, the ideal student for this book, would be, you could tell them from three different characteristics. So I'm going to go through those three characteristics. These are the three that are on your homework, okay? First one. Say gupa. Gupa. Gupa means necessity. Necessity. This thing must happen. This thing must happen. Okay? The ideal student for this scripture is ideal, first of all, says Gyaltsab Je, because they realize there's a gupa. Something's gotta happen. What's that? I gotta do something about all the pain in the world. I gotta do something. I have to try to do something about all the pain in the world, okay? There are two qualities there inside gupa, right? These are like subsets of gupa, right? One would be nyingje. Yeah. So the debate would go like this, okay? It'd be like this. I'll pick on Michael, ready? Well, what you say? What's the first quality that a disciple for which the Uttara Tantra was specifically designed, what's the first quality they should have?
Belong to the Mahayana family.
In general. Yeah, that's in general. And then secondly?
High spiritual IQ.
Yeah, high spiritual IQ. And then if the homework said, now give me the 3 or 4 qualities that they have, you'd go on to here. So what would be the first one?
Compassion.
Well, it'd be gupa. What's gupa?
Okay, gupa is necessity.
Yeah, like they're driven. They say something's got to happen. Something's got to happen, you know. Why are they driven? You see, that's what the homework says, you know. Why do they have that first quality? Driven. Because they got nyingje. They got nyingje. What's nyingje? Karuna.
Great compassion.
Compassion. Okay. Compassion difference from jampa, love, how? Anybody?
Yeah. One is
Yeah?
One is wanting to give them everything they need, and the other one's wanting to take away all their suffering.
Yeah. Which one is this?
Compassion is wanting to take away all their suffering.
Yeah. So nyingje is driven by wanting to take away other people's problems. And then jampa, which happens to be the name for Maitreya, is wanting to, after you've taken away their trouble, then give them everything they want. Okay? But if you ask me, how come the ideal student for Uttara Tantra recognizes some necessity, something's got to happen? Well, first of all, they have nyingje. Okay? First of all, they're worried about the suffering of the world. Okay? You wouldn't be in this room if you weren't that. Okay? You might be in a New York class because some guys walked in following the cute girls who came to class. I won't name any names. Who later became a very, very fine student.
Skillful.
Yeah, skillful means. But if you're this far, this is out in the desert, you know, nyingje, you have some concern for other people's. You have some concern for other people's suffering. Okay? And in B, you know this from last night. Say laksam. Laksam. Mercedesla.
Responsibility.
Yeah, personal responsibility. I'll do it myself. We talked about it last night with your do-gooder company, right? No one else helps me, I'll do it myself. And you know, you don't have to go very far in the Dharma business before you bump into the necessity of laksam. Okay, you know, right? Earl, with the yurts, for example, you know, taking down the yurts. I mean, if you're gonna do the taking down the yurts, you got to decide. If I'm the last person out in this hellhole, taking them down, I don't care. I'm sticking it out, you know. And for that, you need laksam. You got to have laksam. Okay, laksam means I'll do it myself, you know. And it comes in the 7 steps to developing bodhicitta. It's just before you get bodhicitta. It's the last thing before. Am I right? Yeah, just before bodhicitta. Okay. So, if you're going to be the student for whom this teaching was meant, yeah, and we say what are the 3 qualities? Then the first one is you see some necessity going on. You got to do something. Okay. What drives you to that necessity? Karuna. You see the suffering of people. You want to do something about it. Laksam. I'll goddamn well do it myself. If nobody else helps me, nobody else pitches in. If everybody, in the scriptures it says, if everybody rises and becomes my enemy and tells me I'm crazy and fights against me, I don't care. I'll get it done. I'll do it. They'll thank me later. Okay? Laksam. Okay? Now the second quality, right, of the 3.
Right.
Okay? First we had necessity, and that had under it these 2 qualities. Now the second main quality. What was that? Oh, Nupa. Am I on 2 or B? 2, right?
You're on 2.
Okay. This is where the homework gets messed up usually. Say Nupa.
Nupa.
Right? This sa causes it to be lengthened slightly. Nupa. 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 Like Nudnik would have a ta. Nudnik. But Nupa. Okay. Nupa means what? Anybody? Ability. The ability. Okay? Potential. Potential. Huh? Capacity. You gonna pull the plug out of that thing? I don't know, which one is it, do you know?
The one going into the phone at the bottom.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll forget to plug it back in. Nupa means the Chetujara Dulja, the disciple for whom the Uttara Tantra was designed, which is you guys. Oh, come on, you're talking about the early Indian disciples. Am I? I mean, Maitreya could only see today, you know? I mean, Maitreya can't look ahead 2,000 years and say, 1,700 years, and say, they're going to be sitting there in Diamond Mountain East, you know? Got to get this ready for them. You're just as valid as the first disciples of that book. You are Chetujara Dujas of the Uttara Tantra. Because you see the Nupa having seen the Gupa, okay? You saw the necessity for something to happen. And now you see the Nupa. Nupa means potential, means it can happen. I see it can happen. Okay? Nupa means I not only see it has to happen, I see it can happen. Okay? And Gyaltsab Je says to me, I mean, I get thrills up the back of my spine when I read why he thinks Nupa is possible. A Chetujara Dulja like you, ideal student for this book, they see there's a potential for Buddhahood happening because oops, scratch that.
This is a subset of 2.
Yeah, it's the reason why there's Nupa. Like the other 2 were the reason why there's Gupa. Okay? They see there's potential because they, who should I pick on? Amberla. They tongni topa.
They can realize emptiness.
Yeah, they perceive emptiness. Okay? Because they perceive emptiness. Okay? I love that. That's very ACI. That's very worldview. Okay? They see Buddhahood is possible. I mean, one thing they know it's got to be done. Gupa. Then they see it's possible. Nipa. Why? Because they tongni topa. Okay? So, you're ready. Debate. Elila. Hee. Sorry. If someone is a perfect student for the Uttara Tantra, right? They must have already perceived emptiness. What's up? Because they see the potential for Buddhahood. They see it's possible. And that's only because, says Gyaltsabje, that they tongni topa. You contradict every scripture.
He didn't say directly. He just said.
I didn't say he said directly, and he didn't say he said directly. You're thinking he said directly.
No, I thought you were saying he said.
I didn't say directly. Who said directly? So Tony told yeah. So the Cherujai Dujas in this room all perceived emptiness. What's up? Papa Imata. So they're all Aryas, right?
Not necessarily.
Good. Kyabamachu. Kyabamachu. So just because you perceived emptiness doesn't mean you perceived emptiness? Gotcha.
Doesn't mean you perceived emptiness directly.
I didn't say that. No, but you're right. Okay, but that's where you would screw the guy up again. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, it's not true that just because you've seen emptiness, you've seen it directly. Okay, so what Gyaltsabje is saying is very powerful. You can't be the ideal student for this book if you don't grasp that Buddhahood is possible because you understand emptiness. You understand that your own being is empty. And that if you collected the right karma by keeping your book nicely, your vows, you would perceive that empty screen as Maitreya. And if you get it, you know, everybody in this room gets that, right? Anybody who doesn't get it, raise your hand. I'm not just kidding. You get that your own being is an empty screen. You get that if you keep your vows, do retreats, do meditation, help Diamond Mountain happen, right? For others. Right? You will see this being become Maitreya. Okay? You get that. So you get the Nupa, you get the possibility. And that's why you're the special student for this book, and that happens to be why you end up in this room at this moment. Okay? And that's you see the potential for becoming Maitreya. Like people in this room didn't start laughing when I said you're all going to be Maitreya. You know, you're just kind of wondering how it was going to happen. But you understand the Nupa, right? You know the potential. You know the potential. And you're thinking, well, I cut my meditation short this morning or didn't do it at all. You know, and you're wondering how that's going to happen. Well, you have to keep it up. Okay. So, Nupa. Third quality of that student. Say Topar. Cha. Topar. Cha. Venerable Anla. Cha means I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it. The top power?
That's top. Top. Achieve. Which so it means what? Topar cha.
I'm going to achieve it.
I'm going to do it. You know? Damn it, I'm going to do it. Topar cha. Okay? That comes after Gupa and Nupa, right? Gupa, this thing's got to get done. Nupa, it's possible because things are empty. Even I'm empty. Topaja, I'm going to do it. I'm going to attain it. I will be the next Maitreya. The Maitreya, right? I will be Maitreya. You have to think like that. Okay? Maitreya. I will be Maitreya. Pretty much we have already perfect circumstances. You have great trials ahead of us to make this place happen. It's a lot of work for a few people. Later people will come and complain about the lemonade we said, right? And but we're the ones who have to build the houses and get the lemonade ready. And so in a way we have the most work to do. But that's why you're here and you're a Toparja type of person, you know. I'll get it done. I'll do it. Toparja. Okay? Gyaltsab Je throws in a fourth quality. Okay?
Where did the 3 come from if Gyaltsab Je throws in a 4th?
You'll see why.
Okay.
You'll see why. Oops. Let me see how to spell it exactly. Yeah. Oh, okay. Say Wangtul. Wangtul. Min. Min. Wangtul. Wangtul. Min. Min. They ain't min. Wang. Dharma intellect. Tul. What's tul? Dumb. Low. Dull. Dull, actually. Okay? They are not dull Dharma IQ. Dull spiritual intellect. Okay? And then Gyaltsab Je goes on to say, what does it mean to be a Dharma dummy? Okay? What does it mean? It means saying Toparja without saying Gupa and Nupa. It's number 3 without number 1 and number 2. Toparja without Gupa and Nupa, which means, oh, I'll attain Buddhahood for all living beings. Without seeing that there's a necessity and without seeing how it's going to happen. And that's what makes you a less qualified student for this book, okay? Like, oh, you run around saying you're a Buddhist. You run around saying, you know, I'd like to be a Buddhist. I'd like to achieve Buddhahood. But you don't really appreciate how much the world is suffering. And you don't really appreciate that it's totally possible because I'm empty, okay? You gotta have those two, or else you're a Wangtul, okay? You're doing it without really understanding it, and that makes you what they call dull faculties, okay? And I think personally that you guys have you've been through so many classes on karma and emptiness that you really, really get the Nupa part. I think that's where most people, I think every person outside of Tibet and India who is attracted to Buddhism, in my experience, 95% of them are coming because someone close to them died, they saw some terrible accident, they themselves had cancer. You know, they've seen suffering and then they turn to the Dharma. But it's the Nupa part where people fall, right? It's the Nupa part. Like they kind of dimly understand that there was a Buddha and that, you know, probably I can become a Buddha, but they are more in this mindset of Buddha like God, you know? And that's a very big difference between what the religion I grew up with and the Dharma I came to embrace, you know. God is outside of you. God, you cannot become God. To say you could become God would be almost irreverent or blasphemous. But in Buddhism, the whole point is quite different. And isn't it quite different in which book? It starts out with three diamond-like visions of what?
The future.
Your future, right? That's the whole point. That's why Gyaltsab Je is rubbing in this thing. This whole book starts out, you don't go to refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha who are in India 2,500 years ago. You don't go to refuge to some Buddhist monks who have funny-looking eyes and different culture, drink salty tea and bang on weird drums and stuff. You don't go to refuge in that. You're going, the highest student, the student of highest intellect, is going for refuge in what?
Their future.
Their own Buddhahood, what they will become for the world. And that's really powerful. That's really powerful. So you're not this kind of Wong tool. You totally see how it's possible. And that's totally the goal of your life. And as we're about to see in this class, for Gyaltsab, that's what refuge means. That's what refuge means. That's why he put the 3 jewels first. And that's why the 3 jewels are the ones that you're going to become. Okay? For him, that's the whole point of religion, is to worship the thing you're going to become and to strive towards that and to see the nupa, see how it's going to happen because you are empty. Okay? So it's not like in this class, for people of your intellectual capacity, right? I wouldn't say this out in Joe Schmo Baptist Church when Mercedes and Christy and I go to do our presentations there. We're not going to, emphasize that the goal of this class is that you become God or something like that. Not at the beginning anyway, okay? But it's very appropriate in a class of Chetujaya Dujas, of people who are special disciples. You grasp the need and you grasp the possibility because you understand emptiness, okay? And you have Nyingje. So therefore you don't qualify as one of these duller intellect students, and you now got a taste for why the first 3 of the 7 diamond visions are the 3 jewels that you are going to become, okay? Let me see what comes next. This is a part that I really like of the Uttara Tantra. And here I'm going to put the Sanskrit, since you guys learned Sanskrit today. All right? Your Sanskrit teacher will go over why it looks funny, okay? When 2 consonants bump together in Sanskrit, they create a new letter, unfortunately, okay? So this is the T, and this is the N. But anyway, it turns out Ratna, okay? As we said in the Yoga Sutra teaching, Ratna comes from a root Ra, which ultimately means to give or bestow or have value, came into Latin as res, and into the English word reality, meaning something real, something of value, something substantial, okay? And the Tibetans chose to translate it as koinchok. Say koinchok. This is like the only word in Tibetan where you have this thing called a diphthong where you say an oi sound, oi, like oi gavolt, right? So it should have been pronounced kunchok. But just because of some historical accident, this single word is pronounced koinchok. Say koinchok. Okay, koinchok. Kun, when you treat it by itself, it's kun. Kunba means rare. Rare. Okay, so this one means rare. Chok means what? Supreme. Nice. It's getting harder to teach you guys, you know. 3 years ago, you weren't as, you put a little heat on me. Okay, koin chok. Koin means rare, chok means supreme. Now this is called the older period of translation in Tibet. It occurred, I believe the dividing line is before Longdharma. Longdharma was a king who destroyed Buddhism in Tibet just after it got started. And then they had to start over again. But in the early translation period, the Tibetans were very creative in translating Sanskrit. And then they would make up words like Muni, which literally means the silent one, got translated Pelmalai as what? In the back seat of the car there in Flagstaff. Yeah, good guess. Chamdende, which means the one who defeated the enemy, possesses the qualities, and has gone beyond transcendent. You know, it's this long, they just stuck together a bunch of words and made a new word, you know. Koin chok is one of those. Like the word for the 3 jewels, triratna, in Tibetan, is the rare supremes. It sounds like Diana Ross and the... I used to translate it as rare supremes, but then people made fun of me, so I changed it to 3 jewels. But
Studio outtakes.
yeah, rare supremes. But these are, this is the word for like koin chok sum would be what? Koin chok sum, 3 jewels. And when a Tibetan gets mad, they say koin chok sum. You know, it's like, Jesus Christ. You know, and it's funny, like the first few times you hear it, you're like, you know.
That's funny.
So now you know what to say when you get mad in Tibet. Of course, you shouldn't say that. Now, I always wondered why they called it, how did they get the coin, how did they get the chok? You know, like, is that just something they made up? And what's cool is that the UttaraTantra says you should translate it as coin chok. You know, the UttaraTantra says the 3 jewels are kun and they're chok, and koin chok's not a bad way to translate it. So the Tibetans were actually taking it from this scripture. And that, to me, that's really exciting to see. So you'll have the root text in your reading, and it's a verse in the UttaraTantra. But Maitreya gives 6 reasons why the jewels are kun and why they're chok. And I thought we'd go through that for fun, because I think we'll go through half the 6, then take a break, and then come to the other half.
6 reasons why they're supreme.
Yeah, and why they're rare. You know, why are the 3 jewels? Which is who?
Resultant.
You gotta go like this.
Resultant.
Me. Okay, like we're not just going through this for fun because there's 6 categories and Galupas like categories, and you know, it's not like that. Okay, it's like these are 6 qualities you're gonna have. These are 6 qualities that apply to you. And you have to think about that, okay? You have to become koin chok. The whole point of the first 3 diamond visions. You have to become the 3 jewels. So let's see what you got to become. Why are you going to be rare? Why are you going to be supreme? First reason. Say Jungwa? Kun. See, when the kun gets cut off of koin chok, you don't say coin anymore, you say kun. Okay? So that's why it's not coin. Jungwa kun means, Jungwa means happens. Kun means only rarely. Okay? Utpada in Sanskrit. And then I was interested about the kun, it's durlabha, which we studied. We were memorizing a text, and it said that people who can do a full lotus for a long period of time are durlabha in the loka. Lokasya durlabha, meaning what? Hard to find. Durlabha means hard to come by. Okay? Yeah, hard to come by. You know, we experienced that in 3-year retreat. We were seeing like if we could do it for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Long story. So, Jumakun means doesn't happen very often, only rarely happens. And then Gyaltsab Je says, most people in the entire world don't have the kelwa to see the 3 jewels. They don't have the kelwa to ever run into the 3 jewels. What's kelwa? Good karma, good karmic, you know. They just don't have it. They are like the people in the town that Asanga ran into carrying Maitreya on his shoulders. And what did they see?
Nothing.
Mostly nothing, yeah. Mostly nothing, okay? He's this crazy guy. I mean, every time I feel like I'm getting called crazy too much, I think of a Sangha running around town with Maitreya on his shoulders, you know? And it comforts me, you know? You know, so it's like, okay, they just couldn't see anything, you know? And they said, you know, they probably would have locked him up in nowadays, right? Yeah. He's running around town screaming about this guy on his shoulders.
Yeah, they would have.
Okay. So, Jungwa-kun. Jungwa-kun means the 3 jewels happen only rarely in the world, meaning, listen, they're here all the time, but people can't see them because they don't have the kelwa, and people don't meet them, and people don't run into them. Alistair gave me a look like, are they here all the time? Good debate. Are they here all the time?
Who's perceiving?
Good. Nice. Who's perceiving? Good. Very nice. It's actually a sort of a self-existent thing. It's an error of worldview to say they're here all the time. That's like saying my Lama is really a tantric deity. You know, it's an error in worldview to say that. Okay?
But like emptiness,
They're really what?
I don't perceive emptiness, but everything has its own emptiness. It's there regardless of my perception of it. So the Buddhist...
Well, I don't know.
I thought we talked about this a couple times last week.
I don't know.
I don't have to directly perceive an object's emptiness to understand that it has an emptiness. So I don't have to directly to see a Buddha in the room to suppose that there's a Buddha on every atom.
You guys debated in the debate ground. Okay? And there should be a debate ground here. We will have a debate ground. And that'll be one of the main reasons to be at Diamond Mountain, actually. There will be a debate ground. You guys discussing with each other once a week, right?
Yeah, at least all day.
Okay, yeah, you can do it in the car, you can do it while you're working, you can do it anytime, but you've got to do it. It's a 100% difference. The people in the Sabmo Nangdung class, I think, realize that. You know? Like if you just talk it over with somebody in plain normal English for 20 minutes while you're washing dishes or something, it just sticks in your mind really good. Later, in the fall of 2004, it'll be a requirement to debate once between classes. Okay? So everybody will move out before that, but anyway. Junwa-kun. Second quality. What is the second one? This comes from a root text. Oh, that's nice. Oops. Time. Okay. He. Say time. Time. In Sanskrit it's nirmala, and you'll go over that with yours if you want to in your Sanskrit class before class. But ti means impurity or stink, and me means no stink. Okay, so it means spotless or unpolluted or untainted, like that. The Sanskrit nirmala, the mala has come into English as, in what word can you guess? Something that means bad.
Malcontent.
Malcontent, malevolent, malnutrition, meaning bad. Like mal in French, does it mean bad or something? No.
Flowers to
No? Yeah. Yeah. So it's like that. Yeah. Ultimately, probably relates to mort also, death. So it just means bad. Not bad. No stink. And then Gyaltsab Je says a very interesting thing. You know, you can get these books where they say, oh, the Buddha Dharma Sangha is immaculate and wonderful and therefore Chime. Okay? Gyaltsab says just no. They are immaculate in the sense that they don't have, what should we say? I don't remember one of them. Let me see. Oh. They don't have two imperfections. They are free of two imperfections, okay? First one is of being unable to protect you. And to me that's very profound, you know? Like I met a person in the last week who is dying. You know, I asked specifically to talk to them because I know they're dying. I mean, very shortly dying. And they all know it. Everyone knows it. And so you want to offer them some protection, right? I mean, it's too late, actually. It's too late to do anything. It hasn't happened yet, but the time it takes to practice the open teachings, the time it takes to practice the secret teachings, the time it takes to master the inner channels, the work with the chakras, the time it takes to build up that inner body with very difficult practices, there's just no time. The person could go into retreat now and it's too late. So there's all these worldly kinds of protection that they're going to. You know, oh, I went to a specialist. I had my entire blood taken out, screened, radiated, put back into my body. You know, I had. Now the person is going to faith healers because now after that process, Western science has said forget it. And that protection is going to let the person down. But it has chima. It's not chime. You see, can't help them. Won't help them. They will die soon. Can't protect them. That's not a kind of protection. Going to that kind of protection, even medicine, surgical procedures, you know, they can't protect you. Okay? And they fail. The second one is lua. They fail. They let you down. Lua means they fail you. You always hear this thing, the three jewels are unerring. What's unerring mean? You know, like they don't make mistakes on their computer or something. It doesn't mean that. Err in the Tibetan lua means they let you down. They let you down. People put their hopes in money. You know, you're very aware of security when you're out doing a 3-year retreat in the desert. You just become very aware of security. There were 2 rattlesnakes under our deck a lot during most of the retreat, you know. We were just out in the open, like if any intruder came, like hunters were wandering around. One retreat and almost got shot by a hunter. And then there were drug runners coming through the property at the beginning. And you had this, you just felt like being out there in the middle of nowhere with no money, no place to buy anything, no clothes. We didn't have, you know, we just had 1 pair of clothes or 2 pair of clothes. Like, you just feel this very thing that you're not secure. You don't have security. And then you in the beginning of the retreat, you have this hunger for a job. And this hunger for a family, and this hunger for the ability to talk to friends, or at least to consume something, like French fries, milkshake, TV show, latest video, the new CD. Consuming makes you feel like you're somebody. You know, consuming makes you feel like you have some security. And you take that away from people, they almost went crazy. We almost went crazy, you know. And what it comes to is you don't have any security. And this chime means this coin chok. That kind of security doesn't let you down. It's the only real security you have. Emptiness. And the perception of emptiness. And the possibilities raised by that nupa is the only real security that we have. Okay? The rest is all just apparent, you know. The person I talked about has access to great amounts of money. And there's no security. Okay? So really, to be able to live in that ambiguity where you don't have any apparent security is a good Buddhist trait. It's a good Buddhist trait, you know. It's uncomfortable in some ways, but in another way you're not lying to yourself, you know. There is no other security. And don't forget that we're talking security in the sense of what you will become. You know? You will become someone who doesn't let other people down. Doctors let other people down. Lawyers let other people down. Firemen let other people down. Police let other people down. People who don't really understand emptiness and karma let other people down. You want to become a refuge that doesn't let other people down. And that's why you want to become the three jewels. Did you have a question?
Yeah, is there something significant in the way you phrased, they don't have the imperfection of being unable to protect you, as opposed to saying they have the ability to protect you?
Oh yeah, no. Well, just that in the root text it says they don't have this bad quality, you see, of not being able to do something. So it's a double negative rather than a positive, but that's the way Lord Maitreya did it. Now, if you went to the debate ground, you could ask people, why did he say time? Why didn't he just say something positive? You know, you could debate that with somebody. Okay. I think the implication is that other refuges do have chima. If you think about it, it's a mayingat. There's an implication that there are other kinds of refuge which do let you down, and which, what was the first one? Unable to protect you. Okay, same thing really. Right? We'll do the third one and then we'll take a break. Sarah took a break already.
You said there were two imperfections?
Yeah, one was not being able to protect others, and second was letting people down in this, and oftentimes that means like inconsistent results. Like you can't trust what's going to happen. Okay. Say tu, then. Tu. And then this particular combination of letters, which you'll learn in your Tibetan class, wherever we have it, is what we call prenasal. So you don't say just den, you say den. Say den. So when you stick what we call an open vowel, which means an a-e-u-a-o at the end of a syllable, before an N sound, it gets really strong, tunden, like gunden. There's no N in the word gun in the middle of the word gunden. It's just what we call this prenasal effect, like fence, you know, or this nasal effect. Okay, so you'd say tunden. Say tunden. Tu means power, in the sense of magnificent, fantastic, mystic power. Okay, it's a very beautiful word. To do a tu on somebody means to curse somebody. Tu gyap means to put a curse on or a spell on somebody. Okay? If you see Pabongko Rinpoche's pictures in his early life, he's like this thin, handsome guy. If you see his pictures in his later life, he's like weighs 300 pounds or something. And they say tugyap, somebody did a tugyap on him. He had like a spiritual fight, like a wizard, with some evil forces. And he won, but at a cost. And they were able to tugyap him. And then he almost died, like his body just totally changed. And that's called tu. So tunden means the three jewels have this incredible mystic force, mystic power. Here, Gyaltsab Je starts, actually in the last one, in the second one, he starts calling the three jewels, he doesn't call them koinjo, he calls them Yishin Norbu. What's Yishin Norbu? Chintamani.
Wisdom jewels? Chintamani?
What's Chintamani? What's it mean? What's Chinta mean? Chitta means mind, like bodhicitta. Chinta means wish, whatever you wish for, whatever you could think of. So Chintamani means a wish-giving gem. And this is a story in Tibet and India that Chintamani means there's a special jewel that if you find it, and then you put it through this washing process. Like
tumbling.
you have to wash it, like rock tumbling, but it's some kind of mystic waters, like, you know, like holy water, and you have to bathe it in this holy water, and then you dry it off, and then you bathe it again, and then you dry it off, and then you bathe it again. You do all these bathing rituals.
Give you anything.
They give you anything you want. It's like an Aladdin's lamp. You know, the genie comes out, you rub it, the genie comes out, you say, I want a big lemonade for break, you know, and a cookie. We'll see. And then just boom, you got one, you see? Tin Den.
Dennis Jewel.
Yeah.
Granny Jewel in this
Yes,
case.
yeah. Then Gyaltsab Je says, the three jewels have two. They have mystic power because they have Ngunche Druk. Ngunche Druk means the 6 kinds of clairvoyance. 6 kinds of clairvoyance. The most important of which is Shen Sem Shepa, which means the perfect ability to read other people's minds. Perfect ability to read other people's minds. And I said, you know, like, I think in the retreat, one of the main results of the 3-year retreat was interesting. Like, I don't claim that we all could read what Chukila was thinking about on her grocery list for that day. You know what I mean? But I'd say that everybody in the 3-year retreat got this very marked ability to sense the emotions of the world at large and of the people around the retreat area, you know, and especially the other retreatants. I mean, if one retreatant had a bad night and couldn't sleep, none of us could sleep. You know, like after a certain time, it wasn't like you could read their thoughts or you could hear, oh man, I'm having a bad night or something like that. But you just felt uneasy and you couldn't sleep. And then you'd find out, you know, and then we'd start to place bets of who was it, you know, like. And then next time we saw him at the break, we'd like, September 4th, you remember September 4th? And they're like, yeah. But you can develop this. You know, if you do good retreat, if you do sincere meditation, if you keep your practice well, you start to get it. And then by the time you become a jewel, one of the 3 jewels, you have a perfect ability to read other people's minds. And the idea is there that you can see their calm directly. What's calm?
Buddha nature.
Yeah. And calm can also mean their deep propensities. Deep propensities. Like, you can look at a student and say, okay, this student needs this right now. And it might be a bop on the head. Okay? And once you get to be once your abilities get advanced like that, then you might start acting strange towards students, you know. It might seem strange to other people. But you see the calm in them, you see what their deep seeds are, and then you're more able to do things that they need. And those won't be perceived by other people, and you will look strange. You know, your activities or your behavior towards them might seem strange. And that's why you get stories like Marpa or, you know, or even Lama Supala or Khenpo La, they're operating on a different perception of a person's needs because they see them much deeper. And then they might be doing like unusual tapke, skillful means to help that person. Okay? And if you don't have that, you can't be a good 3 jewel. So it's one of the things you have to start thinking about. You have to start thinking to stop relating to people on a superficial level. You know, oh, this person looks like they need a Coke right now. Or this person wants me to be nice to them right now. And you have to look deeper into their needs, way down into their needs, and see what they need right then. And sometimes it's hard. And the great lamas, I think, like Ken Rinpoche La, he's not afraid to do something that's very hard on a student. I mean, I can speak from experience, having been the object for 20 years. Out of their compassion and seeing your come, they often ask you to do things that are very difficult for you, and which might even seem strange. And then, you know, 15 years later, you're telling your students how great it was that this Lama did this to you, you know, which I'm doing. Okay, so, but you should pray to gain that ability. It's like it's on your list of things to develop. The ability to see deep within a student and see their real propensities and their real needs. Where can you hook them? You know, where can you where's the crux in their spirit that you can turn it up and make them a better person and help them become a Buddha faster? And then sometimes it's a very unusual thing, right? We'll take a break and then we'll finish. Yeah.
Clairvoyance having to do with one of the 6 powers, understood, but I'm not sure how the 6 powers tie in with Tun again.
Yeah, Tu means powerful. Tun Den means powerful, in the sense that they have the 6 kinds of clairvoyance. The most important of which,
That's these 6 powers.
yeah, the most important of which is the ability to read other people's minds. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll take a break. Come back. Okay, take a nice break. Quality of what?
Me.
Me, 3 jewels, okay. Say Jikten. Again. Jikten. Again. Jikten means the world, loka. And then Gen means jewel or ornament, like alamkara. And again, Gyaltsabje is still on, and Master Maitreya, Lord Maitreya is still on the image of a wish-giving gem, wish-fulfilling gem. And the idea is that a wish-giving gem gives its owner the most precious thing in the world that they could wish for. The best thing in the world that they could wish for. And the 3 jewels give people the same thing, in that they give them the highest thing that they could ever get, which is, normally we say nirvana and enlightenment. Okay? Nirvana and enlightenment, those 2 things. So in that way, the 3 jewels are like a wish-giving jewel also. Okay? To me, it kind of breaks down at the wishing part, though. Why?
Because you just can't wish it.
Most people can't even frame the concept of what they're going to be. You know, most people can't even imagine. Like, if the wishing gem of the 3 jewels was limited to what you could think of, you'd be in trouble. It's beyond what you could think of. But beyond that, it's a pretty nice image. Okay?
Jikta means world ornament? Is that what I become, a world ornament?
Yeah,
sort of
you mean like a gem
right.
for the whole world, in the sense that you give them the highest things in the world. And if you said because you give them the highest thing they could ever wish for, I think you could have a debate. You see? Because they can't even frame the idea. You know? We're on number 5, right?
Yes.
Okay. Say Chokni. Chokni. This is the Chok and Coin Chok, right? If you think about it, the last 4 have only been talking about jewels, or kon, really, rare. But here they get the choke part. The choke part comes out in this one, 5. So choke ni means infinitely supreme. The ni means really, really supreme. The supreme of the supreme, highest supreme. And for this you need the story of the chemical bank bankruptcy. Like at one point I had all these gemology degrees, and then people would, the Supreme Court of New York City, Manhattan called me and said, will you testify at a thing about jewels, and I said, sure, how much money? No, I will give you, and they said, okay. And a company went bankrupt, a loan company, and they had themselves borrowed money before they went bankrupt on the basis of having a whole safe deposit box full of diamonds. So they borrowed so much money from the bank on the basis of this box of diamonds. So then they went bankrupt. So then the Supreme Court calls me in and says, will you assess the value of the diamonds in the safe deposit box? So I said, yeah, but there's one thing they taught you in gemology school was I want a lawyer sitting next to me to see if I switch anything or anything goes wrong, or, they teach you that, So I said, so okay, we had a lawyer and 2 lawyers sitting next to me. And we go down in the basement of the chemical bank, and they take out this, like we go in the vault, it's this huge thing, and then they take out the safe deposit box and they put it on the table. And I start going through I spread them out, all the gems, diamonds on the table, you put them all top down, then you pick them up with these special tweezers, and then you start using this special eyeglass. And the whole room is like quiet, totally silent. Like these people are wondering how much they've been burned for, if they've been burned, or, how much is the loss going to be, And I'm like this, And then he says, what do you think? And I said, they're all fake.
Oh my God.
100% cubic zirconiums. And I'm like thanking gemology school for telling me to have a lawyer next to me. And a funny thing happened. The lawyer came up to me afterwards. He said, what are you going to do? What should we do with those diamonds? I said, throw them out. They're worth 20 cents each, 10 cents each, And he looks at me and he says, could you make me some earrings out of those? I'm like, okay, you pay for the $20 gold mounting, I'll put them in there, He says, yeah, my wife will love it, And I'm like, okay. And so we made earrings for everybody's wives, that were fake. And but that feeling that they got the moment I said cubic zirconium, the feeling that you get, that you have a box full of useless paste, nothing, That's what chogni. Chogni means the real thing. Chogni means the real thing. Highest compared to fake. Highest compared to fake. Not the real thing. Okay? Money, intelligence, health, beauty, friends, education, military power, living in the best country. It's all fake. Just nothing, means nothing, okay? Can't protect you at all. People found that out while we were in retreat, right? I think there's this huge wave that we feel that you don't know about, We see this wave. We see a wave that I don't think you can really be aware of because you were in it, But those of us that were in 3-year retreat, we see this wave passing through the world. It's a very strange and malevolent wave. And it's also this feeling of panic almost, at a very deep level. And people are just confronted with the fact that these are not refuge. Those big buildings and all that economic power and military power and security and secure borders by 2 oceans and all that is not, that's not security. That's fake. And these gems are like the real thing. The jewels are like the real thing. Like they can protect you. They will protect you. The knowledge of emptiness and karma and how to keep your vows is the only thing that can protect anybody, period. And the 3 jewels have to help people learn that and do that. So you have to think about becoming real security for people. Real security. You can offer people real security. The only real security in the world is that each one of us has the nupa, right? The ability to see that we can create the world according to what we do towards others. because the world is empty. And that makes you a real refuge. You know, that makes you can really help people. Of all the people like in Tucson on October 10th, we've been to the normal refuges. We went to the doctor, we had x-rays, we went to the dentist, we had our eyes checked, we went to the bank, we went to the post office, there's no refuge there, you know. So for a short time, a few real refuges are going to be in Tucson at the Y, teaching. And then you have to like really get this text right, and you have to get this teaching right in your mind and strong. And then you become a real refuge for somebody, real protection, real service organization. Okay. Number 6. We're going to go way over today. Nobody minds, right? Okay. Say Gyurme. Gyurme. Gyur means to change. Gyurme means unchanging. It's a common name in the Kagyu tradition. Like Gyurme Dorji would be a common name. A good friend of mine in Kagyu is named Gyurme Dorji. Unchanging. I would translate it in this context as unwavering. Unwavering. And Gyaltsab Je says, look, if you have one of those wish-giving gems, it doesn't matter whether the owner is nice to it or not, right? Like, it'll still give you your wish. Like, a wish-giving gem is not like an Aladdin's lamp in the sense that the wish-giving gem doesn't matter how you treat it. Like, you can call the wish-giving gem a dumbhead, or you can call it genius. The wish-giving gem doesn't care, right? It just gives you your wishes. Just like that, now you fill in the rest for me. Metaphor. For what? 3 jewels don't care. You can abuse the 3 jewels as much as you want. They will still do all they can to help you, okay? They're unwavering in that sense, okay? They don't care whether you to say something nice to them or whether you try to diss them or anything like that. And as you become more and more of a teacher, then you'll find that you'll have to develop this quality, okay? Like, you are empty, everybody will have a different perception totally based on their own karma. So you will be perceived differently by every student you ever have. And throughout history that's always been the case. Lord Buddha was the victim of several assassination attempts. And we spoke about His Holiness has been the object of uncountable assassination attempts. And that's just the way it happens. People will perceive you differently. And some will treat you good and some will treat you bad. But you have to be Gyurme. And then later when you become one of the 3 jewels, you're really Gyurme. In that you don't care. You just keep serving, keep helping, keep doing whatever people need, no matter how they treat you. That's one of the qualities of one of the 3 jewels. Gyaltsab Je throws in something else, you know? 3 jewels, especially the Dharmakaya, is Gyurme in another sense. Like what? It's takpa, meaning unchanging, meaning, yeah, because it's emptiness. Not because it's empty, careful. Yeah, you get a big debate like that. Yeah, so emptiness. So Gyaltsab Je being one of the greatest debaters in Tibetan history, says, yeah, but don't forget it. We want to become Gyurme in the sense of being the Dharmakaya. Pure emptiness, sheer emptiness. And when you see, you know the story I told you many times, when you see emptiness directly, you come out of it and you realize that the emptiness you saw includes the Dharmakaya of the Buddha. In that sense, you've met the Buddha. You've confirmed the existence of a Buddha by meeting that emptiness directly. Okay. Oh, there's a little section where Gyaltsab discusses the idea of cause refuge and result refuge. And I just thought we should, it's in course number 2, I think.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd throw in what he says. So we're going to go a little bit. Say Gyui, Kyamdo, Debu, Kyamdo. Again, those of you who are studying Tibetan, you see the prenasal here, which is because of this ah. Okay, and it just got corrupted in modern Tibetan to Kyamdo. So I want you to be able to speak it properly. If a Tibetan met you and if you said Kyabdo, it would sound funny to them. Say Kyamdo. Kyamdo. And a Kamba, a Kagyu would say what? Chamdo. Chamdo. A Ladakhi would say Skepsgro. A Mongolian would say Skepsgro. Okay.
So the B is, the ba is just lost?
Here? Yeah. Kyamdo. Yeah. In Lhasa dialect. Which is the right one, right? Okay. Deva Kyamdo. And as I said, Michael, when we were talking about in class, I always get mixed up about which is which. This is cause refuge. Cause going for refuge. Dro means to go, Gyu means cause, Kyab means protection or refuge, okay? Causal going for refuge. To remember, if you want a trick for remembering it, you are going for refuge to the cause of your enlightenment, which is other people. You see what I mean? Which is people outside of you. Like Shakyamuni Buddha, who's already Buddha. They're going to cause you to get enlightened. That's the way I remember it, okay? It can be confusing. You're going for refuge to the cause, meaning someone who can teach you what to do to get enlightened yourself. Then Debu means result. Debu means result. And that's the opposite. Going for cause in the result of your own efforts to get enlightened, which is yourself as a Buddha in the future. And just as a practical exercise, and I'm suggesting that at the YMCA, or those of you who teach this in other places like South Africa or whatever, that you might want to, during the whole series of lectures, get people to do meditation in which they are focusing on the omniscient being that they are to become, watching them focusing on the omniscient being that they are to become. It's a very interesting exercise. Winston the Buddha, if you're not a Buddha already, I don't know, is watching this class at this moment. Because they see all 3 times at the same moment, right? So Winston the Buddha is watching Winston, studying about Winston the Buddha who's going to watch Winston. And to me that's very powerful. Like I can sit by myself alone in my room sometimes, and I'll open a book and I'll just look up and I'll say, I'm working on it, you know. And like sometimes I talk to myself, who's watching me, you know. And it's a very powerful exercise. you know, I mean, then people think you're really crazy. You know, it's another thing on your list of why you're crazy, right? But it can be very powerful. You just sit quietly. You can go out, walk down near the water, spring, and you can just sit there and talk to the Buddha you're going to be. So, you know, you're probably laughing at all the stupid stuff I'm doing right now, you know, and you're probably mad at me because I didn't get there as fast as I was supposed to, and maybe you could just send me a few waves of help, like grace, inspiration, you know, help me out here. I'm trying, you know, and then sometimes I just do that. I just talk because they're watching. I'm watching me, right? Already. So, yeah.
So every single being in this room could be an emanation of my future Buddha?
That's true too. She said everybody in this room could be an emanation of my future Buddha.
Yes.
I don't know. We have to talk about. That's a debate for the debate ground. The only reason I bring this up is that there's a neat little part in Gyaltsab Je's commentary where he says, look, us Tibetan Lamas didn't make this idea up. Okay, we didn't make this up. This is taught in the Uttara Tantra, and that comes from an ancient scripture called the Sutra requested by Ugra.
This is where the resultant causal refuge.
Yeah, yeah. Like he says, Tibetan Lamas like to do this in the early scriptures. They're like, we didn't make this up, this comes from India. Because to them, India was the place of the Aryas, right? Pakpayu. You know, they said, we didn't make this up. This idea comes from the ancient scriptures. It's found in the Uttara Tantra. And it comes from the sutra requested by I think it's a bodhisattva named Ugra. Dakshu Chen in Tibetan, okay? And then Gyaltsab Je quotes that scripture. And I've put it in your reading, if you ever get it. And I'm still working on the first reading. It's really long. It's like turned out like 25 pages. Sorry, but it was fun. And in that, I want to tell you about that sutra. What the Ugra is called Kimdak. Kimdak means householder. It means this bodhisattva was not a monk. And this lay person named Ugra asked Lord Buddha, how do we take refuge? You know, what is it like when you say we should take refuge? Well, what is it to take refuge? And Lord Buddha says, a bodhisattva who is a householder, right? And he's specifically talking about normal people, right? And he's saying, but any bodhisattva. First he says bodhisattva, and then he says specifically bodhisattvas who are householders, lay people. He says, you see the marks of a Buddha. You see what I look like, right? He says, right, I see. And then he says, the moment you just get in your mind, I would like to be like you. You know, I would like to be like you. And you see yourself in the future like me. You've taken refuge. That's refuge. That's taking refuge. You see, to me that's very beautiful. He says that's the source for this teaching. Because really you got both in there, don't you? You have Gyu Kyamdo and Debu Kyamdo. You're looking at a Gyu Kyamdo, you're seeing what they look like and what they do, and then because of that you're taking Debu Kyamdo. You're imagining what you're going to be like, and you're wanting to be like that. So the desire, which implies imagining yourself as a Buddha in the future, to become a Buddha as you look at the Buddha is what it means to take refuge. And to me that's very powerful. It's not like, what did we hear? What was that place?
Travesty.
How'd it go? We were in Travesty. We met some Theravadan. How'd it go, that little tune? The Gachami. Yeah, that was it. Buddha Saranam Gachami. And then it went this beautiful song, you know. But just to sit there and think about an image of Lord Buddha, or just, you know, that's not it. In that scripture, it specifically states, you are visualizing what you will become, and that's taking refuge. And I love that. I think that's really neat. It's almost tantric in a way. Okay. Okay, you think we're on the last question, but you don't know it has 6 parts. Okay. Just stop down. We've finished now the I mean, we talked about the 7 diamond visions as a whole, and then we talked about the first 3 as a whole, meaning the 3 jewels. Now we start on the process of going through them one by one. We go through the 7 one by one. That'll take the rest of the course, and it takes the rest of the Uttara Tantra. Okay? I don't think I mentioned, or I mentioned and I didn't finish it. The first 4 of the 7 diamond visions are the subject of the first chapter. Which order of the 7 diamond visions? The first order, right. Meaning Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and then Kam, your Buddha nature. That's why the first chapter is called the chapter on Buddha nature. Yeah, it's called the chapter on Buddha nature. It's interesting that Maitreya did that. He didn't make it 7 chapters, he made it shorter. So somehow your future Buddhahood, your future Dharmahood, your future Sanghahood, and your ability to become that, your potential to become that, he treats them all in one chapter. So the first chapter is like half the book. Then he does the next 3 of the diamond visions, which are, number 3?
Changchu?
Yeah, Buddhahood outside of you. Yunten, the qualities of that Buddhahood. And then Chinle, meaning the most important quality, which is that they can come to you and teach you. Okay, activity. So those form the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th chapters of the book. But I forgot to tell you, I think there's a 5th chapter. He threw in a 5th chapter. And it's just called Penyin Shepa. It means explaining the benefits. I didn't read it yet. It probably means a small chapter where he explains the benefits of this book or something like that. But just so you know, there's 5 chapters like that.
Explaining the benefits?
Yeah, it's just called the chapter on explaining the benefits, which they often throw into books to sell them to people. But I don't know why he put it at the end. But anyway, now we're going to talk about the Sangye Koncho, the jewel of the Buddha, the Buddha jewel. Now we're on to the first of the 7, and that's what we're going to do the rest of today. And we're going to go through the 6 qualities that that Buddha jewel has. So we already did 6 qualities of what? The 3 jewels in general. Now we're going to 6 qualities of the Buddha jewel in particular. And this is a very, very famous verse from the Uttara Tantra. It's often quoted in the monastic textbooks, like all over the place. Like this is one verse that everybody would learn. You know, and you quote that all the time in the monastery. So I thought, I'm trying to emphasize the quotations that are most, and the ideas that are most used in an actual monk's training from the Uttara Tantra. Again, we don't study Uttara Tantra separately. We study Abhisammankara for 12 years. But the Uttara Tantra comes up a lot. So here's one of the most famous verses. And hang in there, it's going to go long today, and maybe it's a little warm. But we have to work like this or we'll never get things done. So sorry, for about this kind of thing, we have to go late, okay? And you have to work hard and get it on the first try. You know, like you have to go home and really work on it. Because if you wait till the end, which is 1 week before the October classes, you probably won't be able to teach very well, okay? So if you start planting bok choks now, they'll be all fresh by the time, they'll start sprouting by October. Say dumache. 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 Dumache, as we said before, means
Unproduced.
unchanging or unproduced. Yeah, you can say unproduced. Unproduced. By the way, there's a translation, they use what do they call it? No, they say uncomposed. or something like that. That's completely wrong. Okay, just throw that translation out. They say uncomposed or something like that. If they misunderstood the meaning of Dumache in Sanskrita. Okay, so don't. Space is composed of parts, but it's unchanging. You see, so that's a bad translation. But anyway, Dumache means unproduced, meaning doesn't have causes. Doesn't mean it never happened, right? Obviously, Dumache implies that the thing already exists, but it did not have a cause. It's either always been there, or it's not caused in the sense that there are not energies put into it which fluctuate. It's always the same. It's always the same. Dumache. To understand this, we need to talk about what you're going to be like when you become a Buddha. Okay? So, me, the Buddha. Okay? You got to think like that, you know? Like when you do yoga, you have this idea about how you're going to look at the end, right? Maybe. And when you study this class, you should have this idea of what you're going to be like. So we're going to go through what should you be like. You're going to have mainly two different bodies, which just means two different parts of you, okay? Which are what?
Rupakaya, Dharmakaya.
Nice. Let's call it the truth body. I'll call it Dharma body, okay? That's maybe easy. And the form body. And you know there's three ways of, you can divide the bodies into three, you can divide them into four. We're doing it two today, okay? And the UttaraTantra is one of the places where you see all those divisions, okay? Dharma body itself can be divided into two. Anybody want to take a shot?
Emptiness and wisdom.
Yeah. The emptiness. And omniscience, right? Oh, let's call it wisdom, yeah. We'll call it wisdom. Emptiness means... I'm sorry. I'm going to change this. We'll call it essence body. Which is Ngoan Yiku in Tibetan. This one is changing or unchanging, the wisdom. Changing every moment. When you see somebody making pancakes 2,000 years from now, and the bubble comes up to the top, the wisdom changes. The image in the mind changes. When the bubble comes up and pops, there's two different images. Therefore, this mind is changing. Okay?
But you're seeing it at the same time, aren't you?
Yeah, you do see it all at the same time. Even changing more, I guess. That's a huge debate in the monastery. Huge debate. Huge debate. Is there change in a Buddhist perception? But the change is a phenomenon also, right? So they perceive that. But if you think about it, at any given time, they're seeing all the stuff in the universe that ever was, is, and will be, always the same.
Well, at the same time.
But their time frame is changing from our point of view. But that's another point. Anyway, essence body is purity. They call it purity. Dakpa, namdak means purity. Purity in the sense of being devoid of something. Okay? Two kinds of devoids of something. Natural and achieved. Natural and achieved. Got it? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now let's go back to the first quality of Buddha. By the way, we now have Down at the bottom now we have 1, we have 2, we have 3. Of the 6 qualities of a Buddha, the first 3 relate to this side. The first 3 relate to the Dharma body. Okay? Of the 6 qualities of the Buddha jewel that you will become, the first 3 relate to the Dharma body. Of the 6 qualities of the jewel of the Buddha that you will become, the second 3 relate to the form body. And roughly, tsor. In debate, you always start with roughly, or most of the time, or mostly, and then you don't get in trouble when somebody comes up with an exception. You say, oh, I said roughly. Okay, but roughly, this whole side of your Buddhahood accomplishes the ultimate needs of yourself. This side of your whole Buddhahood is the accomplishment of your own ultimate goals. Which means that the other side is the ultimate accomplishment of others' goals. Which it makes sense, right? You need to take form to help other beings. Okay? Very few beings can perceive a Buddha directly, right? I mean, how many people can see the Dharmakaya directly?
Aryas.
You gotta be an Arya. You gotta be an Arya. Or have to have been an Arya, right? And when there's a debate at the end of the first reading, I threw it in. They're debating what kind of Arya were Nagarjuna, Asanga, and Maitreya. The first level, third level, 10th level. Right. There's an argument about it. The point is it's that rare. It's that rare. Maybe there have been 3 Aryas in Indian Buddhism. Something like that. I mean, you have to realize that it's that kind of thing. Okay. So to really take care of, finish your own needs, you have to have a Dharma body. To really take care of other people's needs, you have to be able to emanate a form body. Okay? The essence body is the emptiness half of the Dhammakaya. Okay? The emptiness of a Buddha. In a sense, that's the most important. Why? How could you? Why would it might be appropriate to even call it kunshi? Tough question. Why would it almost be appropriate to call this emptiness of the Buddha kunshi?
You'd have to have very good seeds in your mind to be able to see that Buddha.
You could say that, but
It's the foundation of everything else.
what would a Kagi say? What would a Rime say? And it's good. It's true, I think.
It's always been. It's the source of everything.
It's really the source. If you think about it, it goes back to what we said when we started today. Mahayana, see, perfect students for this course, perfect students for this class, the only kind of students that would be interested in sitting out in the desert in this class for 4 hours, or however long it's going to take, right? They gotta have, what was I getting onto? They have to understand that it's emptiness that makes it nupa. It's the possibility to become enlightened. And really, that's emptiness. So this becomes crucial. This particular emptiness becomes crucial. Actually, you should call this voidness, and I'll tell you why later. Well, I'll tell you right now. Okay? This is a kind of voidness or purity. But it's a voidness in 2 senses. One is natural voidness, one is achieved voidness. Natural purity and achieved purity. What's the difference between natural purity and achieved purity? Natural purity is the purity you've had all along. It's the Buddha nature you have right now. It's the emptiness of your body and mind. It's the availability for you to become anything in the universe as soon as you start keeping your vow book and your morning meditation. And do your 3 retreats. We'll miss you, but we'll cook for you.
Say that one more time. Natural
We'll
purity.
miss you, but we'll cook for you.
I like that part. Natural purity
Or we'll invite Brian. No.
refers to...
Yeah, the natural voidness that you've always had.
Okay.
The emptiness of that doesn't change from the beginningless time up to now and up into your Buddhahood. Doesn't change. That comes with you. And that's the only reason you become that's connected back to that idea of potential or possibility that we talked about, nupa. Because you recognize that, you are a true student for this text, okay, this teaching. What would an achieved purity be? It's like the work you've done to clean out your negativities.
Abandoning stains.
Yeah, like getting rid of your negativities. The absence of doubt in the mind of an Arya would be an example. Once you've seen emptiness directly, you can't doubt these scriptures anymore. Not, you'd go crazy about them. That's achieved. Okay? But again, it's sort of it's an absence of something, right? So these two, natural and achieved purity, are still an absence of something. And then wisdom is just, I should call this wisdom, is what we call jitawa. By the way, we're not crossing this line. I just didn't have any place to put it. It's still over here on the Dharmakaya side. Okay? You can divide the understanding that you will have as a Buddha, right? You can divide it into two parts. Jitawa and Jinepa. Say Jitawa? Jitawa. And Jinepa. Jinepa. Jinepa is kind of hanging out over here. Okay? I don't know how to spell that. I think it's... Yeah, that's right. Okay. Say Jinepa? Jinepa. Jitawa. Jitawa. Jitawa means the ability of an enlightened being to see the true nature of all existing things. The true nature of all existing things. Jitawa means how they are. Jitawa means how they are. The way they are. That's nice, but you also need the ability what? To see all those things themselves. That's a big difference. It's one thing to see all the things in the kitchen. It's another thing to see the true nature of all the things in the kitchen. Okay?
And that's what Jitawa refers to, the true nature.
Yeah. Jinepa means seeing all the things in the kitchen. Jitawa means seeing the true nature of all the things in the kitchen. Jitawa belongs on the Dharmakaya side. And in this presentation only, okay, Jinepa is thrown in with the form body side. Okay? The ability to see all the things in the universe is thrown over here with the form body side. Which if you think about it for 1 minute, you can figure out why he did that.
The Jinepa is the form body, but not the Jitawa.
Jitawa is over here on the Dharmakaya side, Dharma body.
Form.
Yeah, okay. Because Jinepa is seeing all the things in the universe.
Right.
Jitawa is seeing all their emptinesses, all their true natures. Why he does that, we'll talk about. Okay. Now we're ready to find out why the six are called the six. Okay. Let's go back. So we said Duma Che meant unproduced. Unproduced. Why are you going to be unproduced when you're a Buddha? Alistair.
Because your lack of inherent existence.
Which one?
The natural being.
Great. Quality number one is hanging out right here. That's why I did this whole silly chart. Okay? The fact that you are still empty when you get enlightened. The fact that that's why you can be a Buddha at that point. The kunshi, the foundation of everything you are in a way, is your natural emptiness, the one you've had all along. That's the first quality of the six that you're going to have when you get enlightened. Gonna have? No debate? You're not going to debate?
I've had it from the
I already have it. Come on. I already have it. Okay. Oh, so you already have that natural purity? Good. Rangshin namdaki cha yata. That's how you say it. Rangshin namdaki cha. You still have that. You already have that natural purity, right? Which is to say, you already have calm, right? Which is to say, you already have Sugata Garbas, relationship in Nyingbo. which is to say you already have the seed which is going to turn into a Buddha. So a Buddha has a seed which is going to turn into a Buddha. Yeah. So Buddha doesn't have Buddha nature. Good. So Buddha doesn't have Kam. Because you said they were the same. You said they were the same. Anyway, this is why you can get somebody in trouble that way, okay? You go over the video, you'll figure it out. Okay, no, just kidding. Just kidding. When I phrase it as seed to become a Buddha, Deshin Shepi Nimbo, Tathagata. Right? Yeah. Then you get in trouble. Then you got to be, wait a minute. You're talking about the Buddha seed which still has impurities. Remember that thing?
Yeah, calm, right.
Yeah, calm. And then you say, which calm are you talking about? You know, you got to be careful. The whole point of debate is to get somebody onto a, you know, they say that, and then he goes for it, and then he's like in trouble, and then you jump on him. Yeah, okay. Okay, second Buddha quality. What is that? Where are we?
So this natural purity
Yeah?
is abandoned, that Buddhahood?
Oh, good debate. I don't think so.
Well, if the natural purity is the calm, then that defined as one's Buddha nature surrounded by impurity.
Is it the Kam?
Well, if it's purity, it can't be impure.
Right.
So can it be calm?
I forget
if
this
it's
thing.
pure?
The question is it exactly equal to Kam?
No,
I don't think so, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Or you'd have to debate it. Okay. Say Lunki. Tup. I don't think I gave enough time, right? Hang on a sec. Say Lunki. Tup. Short. Short way to say it? Sundup. Like Lama Sundup in Kopan, right? This is the meaning of that name. Sundup means spontaneous. Lunki Dupa means happened like in a sun, like thum. It just means whoop. You know, Lunki Dup means happened. Lunki Lun means whoop. You know, it just means happen like that. It refers to the spontaneous ability of an enlightenment being to go and reach all other beings and help them. Lunki Dup. Lunki Dup. No premeditation. Not even any discursive or conceptual thought. No idea, I have to go to planet Earth now and help those people. You just appear there automatically. Sometimes I like to translate Lungi Drupa as automatic. Okay? Automatically. Do you want to debate me on something? She looked like I'm waiting for somebody. Let's go back here. Nothing raises a question? Huh?
Which side of the road is
Yeah, it's on the wrong side. I said the first three were going to be on the
Left side.
left side. This one's got to be on the... I busted my brain about this all morning. Then I read Gyaltsab Je more carefully. And it's very beautiful. There's a very, very, very subtle mental affliction, or you almost can't call it a mental affliction, but at the very, very final stages of your path, just before you get enlightened, you get rid of an extremely subtle bakchak that infects your mind just when you think to do something, the intention to do something, like the idea to move my arm from here to here, right? There's some kind of trigger thought in my mind. There's some kind of impulse thought in my mind. And there's something very, very subtly self-existent about that.
I am doing
Very, very subtle, extremely subtle. It's called like one of the final negativities that you ever remove on the way to Buddhahood. When you remove that, you can consider yourself purified. That can be considered achieved purification. I'll say it again. When you get rid of the very, very subtle seeds of seeing things as self-existent that infect the decision to act itself, you reach what we call achieved purity. When you get rid of that final one, we can say that you have the achieved purity, meaning the one you had to work for, as opposed to the natural purity. Okay, got it? I'll say it one more time. Apparently, what the most final self-existent thought you have, one of the last ones, is the self-existence which infects the decision to act, to do anything. Like just even to pick up a pen and the decision to say a word. There's something very subtly more, let's say you're more vulnerable to seeing things as self-existent the moment you decide to act. Okay? Now you could debate that a lot and you could have a lot of wrong ideas about that. Does it imply that we shouldn't think to act? Does it imply that we shouldn't act? You know? You've got to be really careful about that. I think one of the mental afflictions that could infect you at the final moments is the belief that I am picking up the pen. Whole cause and effect thing. The whole cause and effect thing. Like I go to the dentist to fix my tooth. Is that what fixed my tooth?
No.
You see? I drive to Tucson, 4 hours there and back, 5 hours, to have some guy drill my tooth. Is that what fixes my tooth? So I make a decision to get in the car. I make a decision to start the car. I make a decision to go. That whole process is infected by the belief that it's the dentist who's fixing my tooth. Okay? Very subtle, extremely subtle. It infects everything we do. Is the way to get negative people out of my life to avoid them. You see? Is that the way to get rid of the people around me that hurt me or who are irritating to me? You see? It's all wrapped up in worldview. So, once you get rid of that final seed of thinking to do anything for self-existent reasons, you no longer get in the car because you believe the dentist is self-existently going to fix your teeth. Okay? Then you achieve a kind of purity. It's not a purity that you've had
Natural.
all along or naturally. Where is it here? Yeah, here. Okay?
But it's spontaneous too.
Well, it's spontaneous in that nature, in that sense. You see? So Gyaltsab Je is saying, if you want to know why Lord Maitreya didn't stick spontaneous help of others over here, it's because when he said spontaneous, he was talking about doing things with ultimately pure worldview.
Okay.
The achieved purity. The voidness of the final wrong idea. It's so beautiful. It's really beautiful. Of course, spontaneously helping others belongs over here. But in the sense that it involves the final understanding that things are empty, it belongs over here. And that's where he puts it, okay? That's a tough point. You got to go over that. I mean, it's an exciting point, but you got to go over it, okay? Okay. Third one. Yeah, it's nice.